Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm going to be covering the possible pathways to victory for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump to reach that fabled number of 270 electoral votes. Now, I have colored in basically every state that I think has a very good chance of going to either candidate. Now, there are certain states like Texas or like New Hampshire, maybe, I don't know, that could maybe go to the other candidate, maybe, but that would be a complete shocker. The 7 states that I have left are the only states that I think could really go to either candidate. These were the 7 closest states in 2020, and they are the 7 states that Kamala Harris is putting all of her campaign energy into. So how would each candidate be able to reach that fabled number, 270 electoral votes for 4 years in the White House? Well, first I'm going to go over the easiest path of victory for either candidate to get to 270. And I'm going to start off with Donald Trump. His is probably the easiest. It's the most straightforward, and it involves 3 states: Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. That's all he needs. Those 3 states, and he secures the presidency. Those are the 3 states with the most electoral votes out of these 7, and they are the 3 states that will secure him that victory. However, if he does not get a state like Pennsylvania, then he would need to go into another Rust Belt state. Because say he were to win still Arizona and Nevada, so that's every single Sun Belt swing state going his way, he's still 2 away. So no matter what, unless there's a surprise flip somewhere else in the map, Donald Trump needs one of these 3 Rust Belt states: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And I think his most likely option is the state of Pennsylvania. Michigan has always been to the left of them, and you could argue that it has issues over Gaza. However, this ticket between Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is actually pretty progressive, and progressive on the issue of Gaza. So I doubt she really has any issues on that. And Wisconsin is kind of like Minnesota's sister state. It also has a lot of white working class voters. It is very progressive, and I think Tim Walz will be able to activate a lot of those voters. So Donald Trump's most likely possibility here is the state of Pennsylvania. And if he does not get that, not only does he need every single Sunbelt state, every single Southeast state, but also one more state from the Rust Belt. Now for Kamala Harris. Well, her base easiest way to get to 270 is much like Donald Trump's. It is 3 states. It is the state of Wisconsin, the state of Michigan, and the state of Pennsylvania. And just like Donald Trump's 3-state strategy, it takes her to 270 electoral votes. But also, just like Donald Trump's 3-state strategy, it relies on Pennsylvania. And if she does not get Pennsylvania, she could get Arizona or Nevada, and she still would be 2 away. She needs one of the 3 of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, or Georgia. And I think for her, the most likely possibility is Pennsylvania. It could be Georgia. And if she does get Georgia instead of Pennsylvania, boom, that's 270. But I think a more likely possibility is that she pulls Pennsylvania. So she needs Pennsylvania. If not, she would need to go for a Georgia or for a North Carolina. Donald Trump needs Pennsylvania, or else he would need to go for a Michigan or a Wisconsin. And that makes sense. Pennsylvania has historically been a tipping point state among countless presidential elections, and of these 7, it has the most electoral votes. So it would be the most important. And for both candidates, it is extremely winnable. It could have been basically secured for Kamala Harris if she had picked Josh Shapiro for vice president. But if she had done that, that would have called into question Michigan or Wisconsin, where they rely on progressive candidates. So this whole thing is kind of like walking on a tightrope. You know, picking someone who's not progressive enough where you lose a lot of votes in Arizona, but where you're not too moderate to where you lose votes in Wisconsin or in Michigan. And honestly, right now, Kamala Harris is probably playing it the better way. Donald Trump is just not presenting himself as a moderate candidate enough. And frankly, that's going to cost him. I think of these, the most likely state to go to him is North Carolina. But from there, the map kind of starts looking tough. Maybe you can see Georgia or Arizona going to him. But even then, he still needs one more of these states. And in all of the remaining ones, Kamala Harris is up in the betting markets. she is up in a lot of the polls. She is just doing better. She has been campaigning in all 70 of these states. She campaigned in all of them in a week, whereas Donald Trump spent that week in Montana campaigning for a Senate seat. A Senate seat the Republicans are already favored in. At this point, what both campaigns frankly need to be doing is strengthening their core. And for both of them, at this point, it is Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania to get to that 270 number. Kamala Harris, she can just get Wisconsin and Michigan, and Pennsylvania can take her over. Or she could try and expand it. She could take Arizona and Nevada. Pennsylvania would still need to take her over, or one of the southeast states, but that is less likely. Whereas Donald Trump, sure, like North Carolina's probably going to go his way, and he could spend a lot of his time campaigning in Georgia. But even then, he also still needs Pennsylvania. He can try and go around it by taking like Arizona, Nevada, and Wisconsin or something like that, but that is just less likely, especially with Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz as vice president. He needs Pennsylvania. She needs Pennsylvania. That is the most important state. But like I said, they could go around it. Donald Trump has this possibility, and Kamala Harris could have a different possibility. She could take Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, all of which seem like they have a decent chance of going towards her, and then a slight leap of Georgia, but she could still take it. That is the same story with Donald Trump taking all of the Sunbelt states plus Wisconsin to avoid having to go through Pennsylvania. That is possible. But it is not as likely as just taking Pennsylvania, taking North Carolina, and taking Georgia. And it is the same story for Kamala Harris. She could take Georgia, but it is less likely than her just taking 3 states, her taking Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. As you see, with all of these strategies going around Pennsylvania, it takes more states. This is a 5-state strategy. For Donald Trump, it is also a 5-state strategy to be able to go around Pennsylvania. Whereas Pennsylvania, it's 3 states, and you're done. Overall, while I do not think Donald Trump is favored to win this election, he does have the easier path to 270. I think all of Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania will all be under 1%, and he could just swoop in and take them. Whereas Kamala Harris, she's got a bit shakier of a path. Who knows if Wisconsin is going to go her way? Who knows if Pennsylvania is going to go her way? Or Arizona, or Nevada? It's slightly tougher to get that path. But overall, with the way that Donald Trump has been acting recently, with the things that he has said publicly, with his vice presidential pick, and with Kamala Harris gaining momentum, more fundraising numbers, I still think she is favored, even if she has inherently the harder path. Now let's talk about a little bit of an interesting state here, and that is the state of Nevada. Now, both candidates' easiest paths don't really rely on Nevada. However, Nevada kind of acts as a method of insurance. Kamala Harris's easiest path is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, as we had previously went over, but that only gets her to 270. If Donald Trump takes the other swing states, that puts him at 268. One elector voting a different way could make it so that Donald Trump is the next president just because of a faithless elector. Same goes for Donald Trump. His easiest path also just barely gets him to 270. So how does Nevada play into that? Well, say Donald Trump were to also win Nevada. That may not be enough to make him not have to take Georgia or not have to take Pennsylvania. But it is enough to where maybe a faithless elector, if they were to switch over, it would not be enough. Same thing for Kamala Harris. If she were to just get to 270, one faithless elector switching up would make it so that she could lose. Whereas if she took Nevada as well, she would have those extra 6 electoral votes of padding. And this is the most likely map, honestly. It is not my prediction, but it is what basically the majority of pundits are saying, that Kamala Harris will win 276 electoral votes. And you will see it includes Nevada. It includes Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, the important state to not have to go through Georgia, or to not have to go through Georgia and Arizona, or Arizona and North Carolina, and Nevada, where you get that extra insurance, that extra padding to be able to maybe have a faithless elector here and there, Now let's talk about kind of an elephant in the room, and that is a state that I have had highlighted as safe. But it's time we talk about it, because it is such a mammoth in the Electoral College if it were to swing a different way, it could change the game for elections, and that is the state of Texas. It has 40 electoral votes. That is a behemoth. It is only 14 less than California. And if it were to flip, which I completely do not think it will, but if it did, it only went to Donald Trump by 5%. So if it were to go to Kamala Harris, she would only be 4 electoral votes away. All she would have to do is take Nevada. Boom, she's the president. She's not spending any time in Texas, but she is running ads. And while I do not think she's going to win it by any means necessary, in the future, for Democrats, if they were to lock up Texas, if they were to win it, Republicans could take Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, and still lose. That is crazy. They could win all of the same swing states they won in 2016 and still lose because they lost Texas. Texas is a glaring hole in the Republican campaign, and if they were to lose it, which I do not think they will, that's just a preface. I do not think they will. Caution, I do not think they will. But if they were to, that would be destructive to Donald Trump or to any Republican running in the future. And this is going to be a serious issue. Texas is shifting to the left, and maybe in an election or two, this will be an issue. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I cannot believe the success this channel has had, honestly. I uploaded that election night, and to be fully honest, I thought it was going to do pretty well, okay? I thought it was going to, maybe get to, 3,000 views. My dream would be to get to 10,000 views. And I go to sleep with it at 1.5K, and I wake up, and it is at 11,000. And then tonight, it reached 22K. This is insane. Thank you guys so much. I cannot believe it. I cannot thank you all enough. Thank you so much for all the support. I genuinely, I have no words to express this. 3,700 views was the most views I ever got. And that was 2 years ago in December 2022. And you guys multiplied it by 5, 6, 7? I'm not very good at math. I cannot believe it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And there is another video that is going to come out in about 12 hours as another special treat. It is going to be on Kamala Harris surging in the polls. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will see you in the next one. Have a good night, y'all.